Hello guys, this is Adrian Callies here. Today I would like to briefly go over the class that I've been creating for the Namibia project. This is Sector 4, Document Templates. And today what I want to do is briefly go through each of the functions that I've created here that sum up this class that we call Create Document. And before we go into this, one thing I want to mention and emphasize is that this class is a wrapper class for the packages that I've found useful for the things that we're trying to do, which is essentially customize and style templates for the hospital run application as a whole. So without further ado, let's go through each method and I will show you as to why I've found these wrapper methods very useful for the packages that we've discovered online. So the packages that we discovered online is called PDF Kit, and the main thing is that the methods that we found within this open source library is that a lot of its syntax and functionality is very tedious and complicated. So what these methods here do is encapsulate and optimize the things that you would naturally want to do on a document template, as far as to drawing lines or writing text or doing both at the same time. And going from there, even at this point now, I feel like there are so many possibilities that I've yet to discover. So again, this video is mainly for the person or the people who pick up where I left off. So the first method I want to go over is draw line, as you see here, which basically automates or draws lines on a PDF file. The parameters that are passed in are basically your start and end points. That's what S stands for here when I want to call my X point on a document, and then the Y, and that would be one coordinate, and then we would draw that line to EX and EY, which are the coordinates for the endpoint of that line. E stands for in, and the last parameter, which is in, will draw as many lines as you would want for this particular call in this method. And you want to make sure you make a note of the fact that it will generate, so I want to create 10 lines, it will create 10 lines of the line with the same type of logic based on what you pass in here. All of these are passed in as integers, and the unit of measurement that I've been referring to when it comes to identifying an X point or a Y point are pixels. The real package that we found online that does all of this functionality hasn't really specified what unit of measurement that they use when it comes to moving horizontally or moving vertically on a PDF file, whether I'm drawing a line or writing text or all of the above. So next I want to go over the method I've created called write text, and basically we pass in a starting point as to where you want to write that text, which is your X and Y. The user text takes in a character of strings. There is no limit due to what I know of how much text you can write. We pass in the font, which again takes in a character of strings, but at this point you would have to go to the package library documentation. There's a link within this directory of the files that I have. Just go to the readme text and you can find that link, and you could see what type of fonts that they have, and you would just pass in that particular font by passing in its name as a character of strings. And then you have the font size, which your standard font size like 12 or 18, which will set the standard font size as to any type of document when it comes to writing something. Next, we have our create label placeholder method. Essentially, this method is a combination of draw line and write text, only that you can only draw a piece of text that's followed by a line only once at a time. And again, we pass in our starting point, which will be set by our x and y coordinates. So that's passing in an integer. We pass in the text itself here in this parameter called user label, and you can control how long you want the line to be, the line that's followed by that text that you wrote initially. And then we pass in the font and then the font size. And then last but not least, we have our add header method, and basically this is probably one of the most important methods because it will always generate your standard header that you would want for each of these document templates, whether you're creating a sick note form or a follow-up form or a referral form. You would always want to execute this method because what it does is it will automatically set on the top left hand side, it will set the logistical information that should go on every document, such as you can see here, the hospital name, the phone, and then the address. And then you would also want the text size as well. And then the other big thing that this method does is on the top right side of the corner, it will patch or stamp the Namibia logo, which is what you would want again for each template. And with that, it's definitely, you can argue that things such as the text size or the hospital name or the phone or the address can be hard coded, but you never know because that size, those properties might change. But in my experiences, I've found them to remain the same, but you never know, so I passed this particular data in within this method just in case. And last but not least, we have a couple of getter methods that will automatically, or not automatically, but manually set the margins on a PDF, because there are times when, whether you're writing a text or drawing a line, you'll see that sometimes the margins are not set, and I've left comments here to identify when these getter methods should be used. And basically what you're doing is you're storing this getter method, this value, and you're storing it within a variable, and then you're passing in that variable into a method when writing text or drawing a line. And using these methods and using these dimensions, the dimensions that these getters return will set the margins accurately, and you will have a general PDF template with margins. And then outside of the class, there isn't a designated place to know when you're within your main block, but the way that this class works is that you create an instance of that class that we just went through. For instance, here we create a new instance of create document, and from that point on and below that, you can see that we have the getters, and we're setting them to variables and storing that value into a variable to be in a place to set the margins manually if we need to. And from that point on, you would go and use these methods, and you can start drawing and customizing and styling on a PDF document. And then the further directions to carry forward after you finish writing your code for the PDF that you want is in document example.js. And one last thing, once you're done, you always want to remember to close the document you created. And this here, my doc, is an instance of PDF kit, as you can see here at the very top. And again, I've found this wrapper class to be very useful and just efficient in time in order to create a good PDF template that can be generated and used for the overall hospital run application. That concludes my video. You guys have a good day.